Now, we've just introduced new information for people who weren't part of the Kickstarter.
Yes.
Let's talk about the difference between the assets you get in the course and the asset pack. So if you buy, let's say, this first Your God of Action RPG procedural dungeon course, right, you will be given the assets you need to make this work.
Yeah.
And on top of that, there's going to be an asset pack that is completely optional. You don't need it. It'll give you a bunch of extra assets.
Yeah.
But if you want those, you can spend, I mean, we have a very rough internal price that I don't know it's safe to go through yet, but a small amount of money to get. And if you don't want them, you don't miss out.
Yes.
Right? We're not trying to penalise you for not giving us extra money. It's just, here's some extra stuff if you want it.
Yeah, we want to make a fully fledged asset pack. So if you want to use the assets anywhere else, you can as well. As part of each individual, like the dungeon, the overworld, they're going to be roughly around 50 assets to maybe 100 for the overworld, because that'll include maybe the village and some nature assets as well.
And that's also for people who want to use these assets but don't want to take the course. Like, you just spend the whatever it is, and here's some assets. You can use them. They're yours.
Yeah. In terms of whether you get it through the course or whether you buy the assets individually, the licensing is going to be incredibly free with it. Basically, the only stipulation is that you cannot put it into another asset pack.
Yeah.
So you'll be free to use them commercially, privately, however you
don't
want.
Even need to credit us. I mean, it'd be lovely if you do, but
you
don't need
always. To. That would be lovely. So yeah, the assets will be all Godot ready. For those, obviously, we appreciate other people use different engines as well in the asset packs. My personal goal is to make them Unity and Unreal compatible, which they will be.
I didn't know Unreal could do 3D.
It's got this nanite thing now, so it's all good.
Yeah,
it surpassed 3D.
We want it to make everybody accessible to everybody who wants to use it.
Yeah. And part of the asset pack itself, there'll be the blend file as well, so you don't have to worry about importing the asset into Blender. It'll all be there, and you can export it into various other options rather than. I think I will do the standard. There'll be GLTF and there'll be OBJ in some instances. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, why not?
Because it's deprecated and not useful for game development?
I don't know. I've seen other people do OBJ, maybe.
Fine, go for it. I mean, it's...
There are problems with OBJ, like the centre of your model is the centre of the scene. You can't actually determine a pivot point and things like that. So it might not be worthwhile asset-wise doing OBJ.
I mean, there's ways around it,
yes.
But yeah.
FBX can have... well, basically, when we export them, we don't just want a raw FBX that then you have to tweak in individual game engines. So... or GLTFs. So we'll get them ready in Godot so you can literally open up a project with those assets in it and just import it straight in and start using it. So if your asset requires collision, that will also already be set up for you. So almost drag and drop. And of course, for Unity and Unreal, they've got their own assets standard. So it'll all be set up and it will be a Unity asset or a U asset for Unreal. So
the idea is, with an asset pack, it just works. That's the goal.
That's the idea.
Because most of the asset packs I've seen out there are for Unity or for Unreal, it means if you're working in Godot, there's a lot of tweaking you have to do. Or more accurately, there's some extra steps you have to go through. There's not that much. But
pivot points in the wrong place.
Scale, modifiers, stuff like that. And Godot 4 is better at importing that stuff, but you still have to know how to do it. It's nice to have an asset that just works.
Speaking from experience, it's annoyed us no end. We appreciate there are free asset makers out there. We praise Kenny, Quaternius.
Yep.
And unfortunately, I think Kenny is actually starting to focus on Godot now. But whether or not they apply that to their back catalogue, who knows. But we want to start from the offset with our assets being compatible with Godot primarily, and in the long run, Unity and Unreal as well. And as I say, the Blender file will be provided, so you'll have the raw data there that you can go in and start playing around with.
Right. So just to make it very clear, you do not need the asset pack. You do not need to buy it. You do not need it to complete the course. You don't need to make it look good.
Yeah.
If you want the extra stuff and you want to go that extra mile, you should be using it. When it comes to recording the content, I will start off by showing the difference between what's in the asset pack purchase and what comes with the course. I will be making it with the asset pack stuff because I've got access to it and I want to.
It'll be prettier.
However, when we go into the next few courses, we're going to give you the stuff we made in the previous course.
Yeah.
and that will be a version without all the extra stuff, because otherwise you just get that for free, and that's nonsense.
We did discuss that later, because how can you share a project and not share a project? So
Right.
it's challenging. You can package things up, but ultimately things are always take-outable.
Yep.
And also then you wouldn't have a full asset pack, you'd have things missing anyway, which would be just bizarre.
I should point out we still have that screen in front of us, and I keep wanting to tweak it and play with the lights and the colours. It's a lot of fun.
This is what they can see just over there.
I know.
Yeah.
What can we switch screens for a second?
Yep.
One of the things I want to point out is there's some very basic lighting theory going on here, and that's going to be covered in this course as well. Like, it's not a course on lighting, but just techniques to make the environment look good, the colors, where the light sources can come from.
I've broken the illusion, Jan.
He's broken it.
I should only face this way.
It's broken. But one thing we can do, if we come out of full screen,
Yep.
if you go to doorway wall 2 and scroll down and just hide the 2 torches, and then back into full screen, and suddenly we have a very different feeling scene. And one thing you can see, you're gonna have to drive.
Yeah.
One thing you can see is the doorway on the left here is a lot spookier and stuff. But it's just using that little subtle blue light to draw people in, draw players in, that kind of highlighting.
So yes, and of course this is done a lot in games. If it's a game where you're supposed to climb on a certain surface, it might have it highlighted in yellow or something along those lines. Alternatively, you often get lights. So this be bad way over here on the left, and this is the way you're supposed to be going, because it's brightly lit and it's guiding you towards it. So there's lots of things you can do with lights, not only make the whole thing look good, but also guide the player.
Yep. And frankly, I just think it looks great. Like, God of War just looks good. There's a very subtle fog effect going on at the bottom there. You can just see the stuff on the floor. I love the new, I always say it wrong, GLFI? The new rendering system.
Yes,
is stunning.
It's really brought Godot up. It really has.
Yeah. So yeah, this is just a quick little mock-up scene. Now, there is another thing that we're going to be working on at the same time, which also requires some assets. You should probably flip back to our face about now.
Yep. There we go. Press the right one.